The drama surrounding Panda Global and Nintendo is growing bigger and bigger. Just this week, Panda Global CEO was ousted from the position and the Panda Cup finale has been postponed. Along with nearly every top player withdrawing from the Panda Cup finale, more than a dozen of Panda's players and staff members announced they'd be leaving the organisation over the problems the organisation is facing. A statement released by Panda Global reads, "Panda has heard the concerns of the Smash community and is taking immediate action. Alan is no longer CEO, effective immediately. Additionally, due to security concerns for our staff and contractors, the Panda Cup finale is postponed. The interim management committee will work to issue refunds to all those who registered in the coming weeks." The Smash community was shaken to the core by the controversies surrounding the issue, and if you're not familiar with what's happened, here's a rundown. In 2021, Nintendo announced a new partnership for the first officially licensed Super Smash Bros. Ultimate and Melee circuit with the North American Professional Gaming Association company Panda Global. The circuit was to be managed by Panda Global. Qualifying rounds will be held online for Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. The winners of both qualifying rounds will then be eligible to participate in the grand final. Keep in mind that this is a first for Nintendo. They rarely invest in eSports, and although they've hosted circuits, they've never brought a formal set of events to the United States. According to Nintendo, this partnership with Panda Global is the next step in Nintendo's efforts to create a more consistent, fun, and welcoming competitive environment for our players and fans. So what happened? In the early week of December, one of the biggest third-party Super Smash Bros. Fighting game tournaments, the Smash World Tour, or SWT for short, announced it will cancel both its final event of the year and its events in 2023 because Nintendo refused to provide them with a license to hold Smash Bros. Fighting game tournament events. Despite the fact that Nintendo purportedly made a licensing offer to the event in November of the previous year. In a lengthy post on Medium, SWT organisers highlighted that the night before Thanksgiving, Nintendo sent out a notice that they could no longer operate. "It is with an unbelievably heavy heart that we must announce that both the upcoming Smash World Tour Championships as well as the 2023 Smash World Tour must be cancelled. Without any warning, we received notice the night before Thanksgiving from Nintendo that we could no longer operate. This was especially shocking given our discourse with Nintendo the past 12 months. Since then, we have been working around the clock to take the proper steps logistically as well as to prepare this statement with proper legal guidance. The cancelled SWT was supposed to be the largest offline tour in eSports history. According to the tournament's organisers, Nintendo's actions will result in losses of hundreds of thousands of dollars. The event, which promised 200,000 competitors in 4,000 activities, was scheduled to take place from December 9 to 11 in San Antonio, Texas. The championships would also have had the largest prize pool in Smash history at over $250,000. 2023 Smash World Tour was planned to have a prize pool of over $350,000. Along with the main tournament, there was going to be a number of side events, chances for vendors to promote and sell their products, and a large crowd of viewers eager to see the top players. On November 30, a Nintendo spokesperson released a statement saying that the organizer, Video Game Bootcamp, made the independent decision to cancel the Smash World Tour. Unfortunately, after continuous conversations with Smash World Tour, and after giving the same deep consideration we apply to any potential partner, we were unable to come to an agreement with SWT for a full circuit in 2023. Nintendo did not request any changes to or cancellation of remaining events in 2022, including the 2022 Championship event, considering the negative impact on the players who are already planning to participate. As a last-ditch effort, we asked if we could continue running the championships and the tour next year without a license, and shift our focus to working with them in 2024. We alluded to how the last year functioned in that capacity with a mutual understanding that we would not get shut down and focus on the future. We were told directly that those times were now over. This was the final nail in the coffin given our very particular relationship with Nintendo. This is when we realized it truly was all being shut down for real. We asked if they understood the waves that would be made if we were forced to cancel, and Nintendo communicated that they were indeed aware. Nintendo's claim was refuted by the SWT's organizer, who also provided written confirmation from the company stating that they were refusing to provide them a license for the Smash World Tour Championship in 2022 or any Smash World Tour activities in 2023. In return, Nintendo released a second statement following its initial response to the post. IGN reported that Nintendo provided a detailed explanation regarding its choice to deny SWT a license to hold Smash Bros. Competitions. Furthermore, they didn't insist that the finals be cancelled, considering the negative impact on the players who were already planning to participate, and that the decision to revoke the license was not made at the last minute because it informed the event's organisers in advance. Nintendo said that its decision was solely based on our assessment of the proposals submitted by the SWT and our evaluation of their unlicensed activities. Nintendo added that any partner that we grant a license to has to meet the high standards we require when it comes to the health and safety of our fans. It's also important that a partner adheres to brand IP guidelines and conducts itself according to professional and organisational best practices. Nintendo writes, "We use this same approach to independently assess all partners. If we discover that a partner is doing something inappropriate, we will work to correct it." Nintendo further stated that it had verbally informed SWT that it was not necessary to postpone the 2022 finals due to the negative effects it would have on the players. Thus, the decision to cancel the SWT 2022 was and still is their own choice, it further said. In addition to continuing to provide licenses for significant competitions outside of the Panda Cup, Nintendo stated that it was willing to work with other organisations. The statement stated, "Nintendo cares about Super Smash Bros. Fans and its community very much, and we hope to continue to hear their passionate feedback." Video Game Bootcamp did not take this statement lightly. They were confused by the angle Nintendo was taking, saying they are struggling to understand why Nintendo contacted us at all last week if they truly wanted us to continue operating. In addition, Video Game Bootcamp cried foul over Nintendo referring to Panda Global as a key partner. How did Panda Global get involved in this issue? Since Panda Global was an officially licensed partner of Nintendo, there was an obvious competitor. But according to Nintendo, Panda's partnership was not exclusive, and the organisers had not infringed on Nintendo's IP regarding game modifications and even represented Nintendo's values well. They made it clear that game modifications were their primary concern in regards to coming down on events, which also made sense to the organisers given their enforcement over the past few years in that regard. Just 2 years ago, the Japanese company issued a cease and desist order to the organisers of the Big House, an annual Super Smash Bros. Tournament that's been around since 2011. The cease and desist was because of the tournament's intention to use Slippy, a fan-made software used to play Super Smash Bros. Melee online. And that was just one of many times Nintendo has sought to exercise control over the local community. Going back to the competition with Panda Global and the organisers of SWT, there's no problem, right? Nintendo has clearly stated that the events can coexist, but Panda Global had other plans. The Panda Cup Smash Bros. Tournament was organised by Panda Global, and in an effort to get the organisers to sign up for the Panda Cup instead, CEO Dr. Alan Bunny sabotaged the SWT. He allegedly spread fake news that the SWT is getting shut down and not coming back in 2022, which made a lot of organisers reconsider partnering with the Panda Cup instead. The organisers then approached Nintendo with this issue directly, and the company was very sympathetic, reassuring them on a few things. They reminded us and reassured us that Nintendo is only looking to shut down IP infringement related to game mods and not the unlicensed Smash World Tour, that the Panda CEO does not represent Nintendo and that they would have to have a conversation with him about his behaviour. They reminded us and reassured us that Panda's license is not exclusive and that they can see the two circuits coexisting. They reminded us that Nintendo's goal was to not gatekeep or trap the community and that license guidelines would be accessible and clear. However, this didn't put an end to Dr. Allen's sabotage. Panda's CEO continued to inform organisers that they wouldn't be returning in 2022 and that if they did, they would be shut down. Additionally, organisers were informed that if their individual events were part of the Smash World Tour, they would also be in trouble. Panda Global admitted this in the very first statement that they released during the controversy. According to the post that went online on December 3rd, Allen acted in an inappropriate manner when speaking with the tournament organisers. Panda Global said that while Dr. Allen has been one of the more vocal supporters of the game's community and Smash World Tour specifically, he had spoken to Beyond the Summit in a manner which didn't reflect either guidance from Nintendo or our own standards. As such, Panda Global has taken efforts to rectify the situation by assembling a dedicated team to manage Panda Cup activities to, at least in theory, remove the possibility of future miscommunications from occurring. In regard to this, Nintendo said that their decision with SWT wasn't influenced by Panda Global. While Panda Global will continue to work with Nintendo on Smash Bros., the company says it looks forward to receiving proposals from other groups for tournament licenses. After days of silence, Dr. Allen reiterated the claims against him in what looks like a teaser on his Twitter post. He accused SWT of lying and BTS of putting the community in jeopardy, and even teased the community that he'll post more evidence. fans, although it seems that no one believes him anymore at this point. On December 7th, Dr. Allen released a 31-page statement on the SWT drama, initially starting the post by saying he is no longer CEO of Panda. Allen continues by discussing more claims, including allegations that he forced Beyond the Summit and other tournament organizers into an agreement with Panda by strong-arming them and using Nintendo as a negotiation tool. He claims that BTS leader Ken Hotbit Chen blocked him despite his repeated efforts to forge a cooperative partnership between the two groups. But one could argue that Allen's statements are a compilation of carefully selected screenshots. Ken Chen said Allen purposefully edited off extended screenshots of contacts with BTS in his statement. In a Twitter thread, Chen responded and denied Allen's statements, claiming Allen publicly discussed the Smash World Tour being shut down in 2021 and made threats regarding the legal situation, which according to VGBC scared off possible sponsors. Chen's version of the story had been verified by others who have collaborated with him and BTS, but Allen managed to share friendly interactions with the organizers and even acknowledged that he might have been overly enthusiastic in his approach, but he insisted that his goals were good and he didn't want to create any issue. In the end, Allen maintains that every accusation made against him is untrue and was created by greedy individuals in the Smash Bros competitive scene, and he strongly suggests that the Smash World Tour was designed specifically to fail to gain attention and support. Struggles with the Smash tournament are not new. In fact, over the years when it comes to licensing contracts and dealing with third-party clients for tournaments, Nintendo has a long history of dragging its feet through the mud. Nintendo has a reputation for being terrible at organising anything official, which is why the Smash World Tour is organised by a group of fans who have put together a global collection of events and tournaments. Now, if we're talking about the future of Panda Global, well, the Panda Cup is cancelled along with the Smash World Tour, and many of Panda Global's finest talents are leaving the company, including Super Smash Bros. Cody IBDW Schwab and Chris Whitey Boston. Additionally, other Panda partners have publicly discussed the prospects of leaving. Thanks for watching. I'm Jane. I'd be incredibly grateful if you considered subscribing for future videos. Thanks again, and see you on the next one.